Welcome to Intuitive Writer. I'm your host, Camille Chan. I'm a writer, a medium, and a story channeler. I have 23 published books to my name and counting. I have been writing novels for over 30 years, and for just as long, I have been channeling stories. I have spent my life in dedication to my craft, and what I've learned is that, contrary to popular belief, stories do not come from within. Stories come from without. Stories exist in the universe as energy, and they are waiting to work with writers just like you and me to be channeled on to the written page. I believe that so many writers out there are already channeling stories, but they're doing it from an unconscious space. I started the Intuitive Writer podcast and YouTube channel to help writers just like you shift from a space of unconscious creativity to a space of conscious creativity. Be sure to tune in every week for teachings that will help you incorporate intuitive writing into your everyday writing practice. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so grateful to be part of this creative journey with you, and I look forward to sharing with you every week. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, and welcome back to the Intuitive Writer podcast and YouTube channel. I'm your host, Camille Chan, and I hope you guys all survived the pajama party from the last episode. Oh my gosh, you guys, I was feeling so bad, and then it seemed completely reasonable to film an episode in my pajamas with my bed hair, and then like a couple days later when I was feeling better, I definitely had a WTF moment. It's like, what was I thinking? I don't know, maybe I'll make it like an annual let's all remember the good days of COVID thing. And we'll do a pajama party, one episode a year. I don't know. I don't know if I'll have the guts to do it again unless I'm really sick and delirious like I was that day. But anyway, I survived, and I hope you did too. You're back for another episode, so thank you. I appreciate it. Today's episode it's about a lot of things. I think at the heart of the episode, it's really about surrender and the role that surrender plays in the life of an intuitive writer, or maybe just the life of anyone that's intuitive and anyone that is taking steps to align with themselves and align with their soul. Surrender is a very big theme, and it's something that's been coming up huge in my life lately, most loudly in my writing life. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Today I'm going to tell you the story of a new book that I started writing last week. The name of the book is called Jesus Christ Zombie Killer. And as we jump in here, I'm going to start with the origin story of this novel. It came to me, I started channeling it probably 3 or 4 months ago, kind of towards the end of 2020. I was sitting in the hot tub with my husband, and I have no idea what we were talking about, but all of a sudden, this story, it came out while he and I were talking. And my husband and I have a very interesting, energetic relationship when it comes to creativity. He's very much a part of the creative work that I do. And it's definitely an energetic connection between us. And when I've asked Spirit about it, what they show me is a 3-legged stool. And basically, I am the stool. I'm every part of the stool except for the third leg. And energetically, my husband is the third leg of this creative stool. So I drive the train and I'm the main creator, but his energy is a key component in some part of everything that I write. So it really wasn't a surprise that he and I were sitting together talking, and this story started to channel through while we were talking. And the title was like a clap of thunder. It was very clear. Jesus Christ, Zombie Killer. And, it sounded like really cool and exciting and largely terrifying. And the first thing I started to do while, I was channeling and talking to my husband about the story, the first thing I tried to do was camouflage it. I started coming up with very creative and unique ways to hide a story about Jesus under all sorts of other names and all sorts of alternative realities. And I was effectively just burying it and camouflaging what it was. And I think you can tell by the title that the story is very loud. It's the sort of title that demands attention. And as I was talking and creating these beautiful layers of camouflage around the story, I heard very clearly it's not that type of story. It's not meant to be hidden. It's not meant to be subtle. The story is loud, and it wants to be loud. So yeah, that's the origin story. And like I said, this was probably 3 or 4 months ago. It was at the end of 2020. And like I do with a lot of the ideas that come to me, I said, this is great. I'm super excited. Also terrified, but I can write this. Like, I can totally do this. But you're just gonna have to wait. And I'm thinking like maybe 3 years. Like, I kind of had this 3-year plan just based on all the other stuff that's been coming to me and knowing other stories that I need to write. So that is the origin story of Jesus Christ, Zombie Killer. Now we're gonna flash forward to today, to March 2021. So, Camille had this 3-month plan worked out with Jesus. But he had other plans. So what happened in the month of March is I finished my latest novel, Zombinist Invasion 3, which I've shared quite a bit about on this show, but I finished it. All the copy edits were in, and it was all packaged up, and I sent it out to my ARC readers. And it's the moment in a writer's life where you get to choose what you do next. And as I shifted into this space of what do I do next, I found myself looking at 3 very energetically intense portals or energies. There was door number 1, which is a series I'm going to co-create with my zombie twin, Nick Clausen, in Denmark. And I talked about that last week. So if you're curious to know more about that, listen to episode 19. Door number 2 was Zombinist Invasion 4, just the 4th book in the series that I'm writing right now. And door number 3 was Jesus Christ, Zombie Killer. And as I was looking at all of these energies and feeling all of them and feeling very conflicted, my husband's over here in the background saying, you just need to write the Jesus story. It's going to be great. You need to write the Jesus story. And Spirit speaks through all of us and works through all of us. But honestly, Spirit probably shouldn't try to talk to me through my husband, because I never want to do what he says. I never want to listen to him. I don't like to be told what to do. So when he tells me something, even if it's wise, I don't like to listen to him. So here the poor guy is over here, like, letting me know, like, he felt very strongly that was a work that was really aligned for me. And here's me, talk to the hand, not listening to him at all. So the first door that I'm knocking on is this book that I'm gonna co-write with my friend in Denmark. And I shared the story last week in episode 19 of how that door very neatly closed for us in the year of 2021. And it's looking like it's gonna be a 2022 project, which feels very aligned. So that door closed. So while I'm looking at these other two energies, Jesus Christ, zombie killer, really started to channel through me. And I went for a run one morning, and it was just a super short hour-long run, and I basically channeled like the entire first book, which is called Forerunner, and it stars John the Baptist. And I saw the whole story, and I saw it so clearly, and I knew the story wanted to come in. And I basically said, you know, guys, we're on a 3-year plan here. Like, we worked this out. It's a 3-year plan. I'm just not ready to write you right now. And to be honest, I have a lot of fears around writing this story, and probably the loudest of those fears is the fact that I don't identify as Christian, and I don't identify as Jewish. So how can this spiritual Chinese American girl properly write a story called Jesus Christ, Zombie Killer? The only resume being that I write zombie books. But I've never studied the Bible. I know nothing. I know very little about Christianity. So not only did I have insecurities about whether or not I was the right person to bring in this story, I was sharing about the story with a friend, and the word that he used was controversial. And that's a big fear of mine as well. I don't like controversy. I don't like argument. So I had some very large fear blocks around this story. And so that morning when I channeled it in, I had this moment where the fear was so big, and I was just like, I just can't handle this right now. It's not happening. I know it'll happen someday. Got the 3-year plan, so I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing it right now. And you just need to wait. So I threw all of my attention into Zombinist Invasion 4. And I have 2 characters that have stepped forward in that novel. So I know who the main characters are, and they're here. They've definitely been moving around and communicating with me. So I felt really good. Like, okay, here we go. We're staying on track. We're not going to get diverted, distracted. Like, we're going to finish this series in 2020. Got 2 more books to write. We're going to knock them out. So I started to write, and it went well for maybe a day, maybe 2 days. And all of a sudden I hit a huge wall, and it was like, as they say, trying to squeeze water out of a stone. And I knew there was some major misalignment. I knew there was something off. I've had enough experiences where I write with my intuition, and I know what it feels like to be in flow, and I know what it feels like to be in misalignment. And I knew there was some major misalignment, but I didn't know what it was. So I started asking for clarity. I was like, look, I don't know, like, is there something within me? Is there some kind of shift I need to make within myself so that I can better align with this energy, which I've had to do before? Am I just not connecting? Or am I just completely on the wrong path here? Am I on the wrong path? I don't understand. And I remember having a moment, I was very frustrated. So I went into the bathroom and I closed the door, and I had a talking to a spirit, and I just basically said, look, I know something's off. I know something's off. There's no reason this story should be so hard to pull in right now. I've seen so much of it, and the characters are here, and there's something blocking it. There's a reason why I can't pull it in right now, and I don't know why. So yeah, that was my my argument in the bathroom, trying to be really subtle so my family didn't hear me yelling. And so then your mind kind of starts going. You're trying to like figure it out. You're trying to get your mind involved. So the first thing I did was go back to my friend Nick in Denmark, and I said, are you sure? Are you sure we interpreted those messages correctly? Are you sure that door number 1 to this series that we're going to write together, are you sure it's closed? And honestly, I asked that question because I had this third door open and I was really afraid to look into it. So I sent the question, and he wrote back almost immediately. He's like, oh yeah, like it's totally closed. I'm over here, I'm writing 3 books at once. So like he's totally rocking it. He's in his flow, and things are flying for him. And meantime, I'm over here being frustrated as hell with this book that I want to write. And so I had a moment where I had to sit there and regarding these 3 energies in front of me, and door number 1, it was firmly shut. The series I'm going to co-write and co-channel with my friend, that door is so closed right now, and I knew it. I guess I just needed to hear it again. And then door number 2, Zombiness Invasion, again, it was so obvious to me that it was closed and it wasn't the right path. So suddenly I have these 2 doors that have closed, and it's just me and door number 3. And I'm staring at Jesus Christ, the zombie killer, and it's staring back at me, kind of waving, saying hello. And I have a very uncomfortable relationship with Christ's energy. I don't even know if uncomfortable is the right word. To give a little bit of history, and I'm going to choose my words here as carefully as possible because this is not my story to share, but I have a family member that I'm close to that experienced childhood trauma in a Christ institution. And I inherited that trauma because we can pass our traumas on to our children, and they can pass it on to their children, and you can have trauma handed down through generations. And I inherited this trauma, and it manifested within me as a child as a massive discomfort and suspicion with all things related to Christ energy. And it's very interesting because I grew up in a community that was very Christian. A close group of girlfriends were either Mormon or Christian, and so I was around it all the time. And if you talk to them now, they could probably all say, yeah, so not Camille's thing. I just had this massive resistance and discomfort with it. And I've been going through my life with this family trauma in my body and unable to have any sort of relationship with Christ energy. And from a personal perspective, I view Jesus Christ as an ascended master. I view him as a benevolent energy that's here to help humanity usher in the vibration of love. It's very simple. I couldn't tell you anything about all the other stuff, the stories, all the other biblical characters. Like I said, I've never read the Bible. I couldn't tell you anything about any of that. But to me, he is very real, and his presence is very real on this planet and very strong. But I never had any level of comfort with it. And it's very interesting how the universe works. 10 years into my marriage, my husband decided to convert to Catholic. So, it was very interesting to have suddenly have this Christ energy in my house and in my partner. And I supported him through it. He wanted to get married in the Catholic Church, so I remarried him in the Catholic Church, and I supported him and loved him through his baptism, and him embracing his faith. But it was never for me, and he never tried to force it on me. We live in mutual respect of each other, whatever our spiritual practices are. But it's very interesting to me that this invitation came, into my life, and I couldn't accept it. It wasn't anything I could work with. But again, the universe works in mysterious ways, and here I am many, many years later, and again, I'm finding myself facing this Christ energy that I'm channeling for this story. And the story, it's coming at me from every direction. I mentioned in the last episode, that a story had channeled through my daughter very briefly, and this is one of those stories. This is the story. I didn't share what it was in the last episode because I still had a lot of fear around it, but she actually has a very good relationship with Jesus Christ. She goes to Catholic school, and she tells me how much she loves him. So, I'm glad she didn't inherit the family trauma that I carry in my body, because it is such a huge resistance, and she doesn't have that. So that's beautiful, and it was no surprise to me that he spoke to me. The story spoke to me through her, and I just saw the story so clearly. And so, here I was on this threshold, realizing that these two creative doorways had been closed, and suddenly my 3-year plan with Jesus had become a 3-month plan. I was like, that's not what I signed up for. I thought I had 3 more years to be terrified. I didn't realize I was supposed to confront the fear now. And so as I'm processing this fear of feeling both inadequate as a non-Christian and a non-Jewish person, feeling inadequate because of the Christ trauma that I carry within my body, and then being terrified of controversy that might arise over a book titled Jesus Christ Zombie Killer. And I was laying in bed one night, and I know this sounds crazy, but Jesus came to visit me, and it was a very short conversation. And all he said was, I need you to make me human. I need you to show my humanity. And that's it. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, you are Jesus Christ, the Son of God. You are served on a platter as the pinnacle of perfection across the globe. What do you mean, humanity? Because to be human means that you're flawed and vulnerable, and you get angry, and you get jealous, and you do things that you're not proud of, and you do things that you're proud of as well. But being human's a mixed bag. And I think you all know that. We all have this capacity to do amazing things, and we have a capacity to do shitty things, and we all do them, and we all do both. And how in the world am I supposed to write a story about Jesus Christ being human and being flawed? And then I was really freaked out. So I've been having conversations. I'm just like, look, okay, I hear you, I see you, but you're gonna have to like dish out a little bit, because I don't even know how to do this. I don't know how. I don't know how. But I will try. I see the story, and I understand that it's coming to me, and I'm gonna try. So that's what I did. I decided I was just gonna sit down with it one day, and I was just gonna see what happened. And I said, okay, okay, John the Baptist and Jesus, here I am. I'm saddling up. Let's do it. And it was really, really intense. I'm trying to figure out how to describe it. I don't know if anybody out there has ever visited the Three Gorges Dam in China. It's that massive dam on the Yangtze River. And it's so massive and powerful that it's actually messed with the tilt of the earth a little bit because it's so powerful. And that's what it feels like, having that story in my body. I'm tilted on my axis, and it's so strong, and it's so powerful, and it's so urgent. And I don't understand the urgency. There's a lot that I don't understand, but it's so strong. And I realized as I started working with it, I'm like, oh my God, this is so strong. No wonder I couldn't pull in Zombiness Invasion. This energy is too big. It was blocking that other story. It's way stronger. And it has way more urgency behind it than Zombiness Invasion ever has. And I started pulling it in, and in a matter of like 5 days, I wrote about 20% of the novel. I couldn't stop writing. I couldn't stop seeing the story, and it just came scene by scene by scene. And it was really interesting because sometimes I would miss something. And so when I take a break, Spirit would come and show me like, oh, you missed that part in chapter 1. I'm like, okay. So I'd go back, add to chapter 1 and, keep writing. And then I'd take another break. And then, Spirit would come and say, oh, you missed the beginning. You started it in the wrong place. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go back. Show me the beginning. So I'm writing the beginning. And what's coming out is this beautiful love story with John the Baptist and the Queen of Galilee. She wasn't queen is not used in the book, but I'm using that word because otherwise it's too mouthy. It's this beautiful love story and a romance, and I'm so baffled by it. I'm so baffled by it. I'm like, how in the world is this Christ energy coming through me, and it's having me write a romance novel? I don't understand. But I'm in surrender because that's what's coming through. And as I was working on it, it suddenly occurred to me that, it's about love. And if there's any message embodied by Jesus Christ and Christ energy, it's love. And when I started thinking about it like that, I thought, that does feel really aligned. We all need more love in ourselves and in our lives. So here it is. I'm writing about love and zombies. And it was really interesting. Like, while I was writing it, I kept seeing the number 3. And I would see it repeated, 333, or I'd see the number 3. And when I see patterns very close together like that in my life, I always look it up. So I looked up the number 333, and of course, wouldn't you know it, that 3 is the Jesus number. You guys, I can't make this up. I really can't. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, okay. 3 is the Jesus number. I'm seeing 3 everywhere. Okay. I hear you. I understand. You're sending me a message. You're showing me how aligned this is, even though I feel inadequate and terrified. You're showing me how aligned it is. And 3 has to do with the Holy Trinity. And I can't tell you all the places I've been seeing these references to the Holy Trinity over and over and over again in books, on the computer, wherever. I'm like, okay. Okay, message received. And I'm sure the Trinity concept's going to play some role in the books. I'm seeing that, but I don't know how yet. And as I was working with this energy last week, it occurred to me, this thought, that here I am feeling fearful and inadequate, but the energy chose me. I certainly didn't go looking for it. Girl over here with Christ trauma did not go looking for Jesus Christ. I thought maybe the fact that I'm a blank slate is what makes me the perfect writer. The fact that I have no entanglements with current fixed lore around Christianity and Judaism, maybe the fact that I know nothing is what makes me the perfect person to write this story, because I don't have those entanglements. And actually, it was really interesting. I wrote this scene with John the Baptist in the Jordan River, and I picked the location because I was looking at a map of Galilee and trying to figure out, where should I make the first scene with John the Baptist? And then I was doing some research a couple hours later. Oh, and wouldn't you know it, John the Baptist baptized Jesus in the Jordan River. Like, okay. So it has occurred to me that, yeah, maybe I am the perfect writer to bring this in because of my blank slate. And on some level, maybe this is an invitation to heal my ancestral trauma around the Christ energy. Maybe it's an invitation to, transmute trauma to love, maybe. I really don't know. I'm just moving forward in this space of surrender, and it's probably like 60% surrender and 40% fear and terror and confusion. It's definitely a sliding scale. I hope that it keeps sliding, and the surrender and the peace becomes the larger part of the equation, and more of that fear. I hope more of that slides out, and that I'm able to embrace the surrender. I hope so. And so I have to tell you, while I've been in this fear state, and while I've been gathering my courage and leaning into my fear, I have my husband in the background, the one that has really great ideas that I never want to listen to. And he's singing to me. He's singing this song by King Missile. So you should totally look it up. And it's called Jesus Was Way Cool. So my husband's singing to me, Jesus was way cool, man. If he wanted to, he could turn wheat into marijuana. Jesus was way cool. He could have turned sugar into cocaine, and he could have turned vitamin pills into amphetamines. Jesus was way cool. I hope you find that as funny as I do. So he sings this to me. He was playing it for me the other night when I was brushing my teeth. So yeah, I've got my cheerleader there in the background, supporting me as I channel in this story. I had another kind of a funny moment as I'm over here freaking out about channeling Christ energy and writing Jesus Christ Zombie Killer. And I realized, millions of people talk to Jesus every day. Like, this isn't so weird. This is not as weird as I'm making it out to be, right? I mean, the guy's telephone must be ringing off the hook all the time, right? So many people talking to him every day. And as far as I know, he answers them. So I'm not special. He talks to so many people. So like I said, I had this moment where I realized, okay, it's not that weird. It's really not that weird. It's okay. It's not that weird. I probably am the only one that he's talking to about a zombie story. I don't know. It'd be really interesting. If there's any other zombie authors out there that listen to this, I'd love to know if Jesus is talking to you about a zombie book. Maybe we could do a crossover. I don't know. So yeah, I just had this moment where I realized, like, it's okay, like, it's safe, it's okay. People do this all the time. And for whatever reason, he's talking to you about a zombie book. And maybe that's the part that's a little bit special and a little bit weird. But yeah, there you go. When I talk about surrender, I'm also talking about my author brand. And I've been on this trajectory with my author brand to really narrow it to write about apocalypse, dystopia, and really narrow the brand, most specifically with apocalypse. And though this story has the word zombie in it, I would say that in the genre of post-apocalypse, it really falls outside of the scope. When you write genre fiction, you become very entrenched in the tropes and the things that your readers come to expect when they pick up an apocalypse novel. I mean, same thing with a romance novel or a thriller novel. Like, you just expect certain things, and as an author, I try to make sure that those expectations are met. And, you know, I'm talking about a love story between John the Baptist and the Queen of Galilee. Although this is book one, I'm seeing 3 books. And Jesus is in this first book. He's more of a sidekick side character. But the next 2 books, he gets to be the superstar. So hopefully he starts dishing out more information on exactly how he wants to be humanized in these books, because I really need help with that. Oh my God, I totally forgot what I was talking about. Oh, surrender. And just, you know, as I'm looking at this book and I'm trying to see how it fits in my author brand and my author portfolio, like, it really falls on the fringe of my author portfolio with this romance. And even the zombie itself, like I said, I'm about 20% of the way into the book, and we're just now getting to the zombie. And normally I would pull the zombie in so much sooner. It didn't play in this book to bring it in sooner for a lot of reasons. So I'm bringing the zombie element in very late in the book. So I'm way outside of the tropes of my genre. And I find it confusing, but again, this story is so powerful and it's coming through so strongly. I know I just have to surrender to it and trust that it's what it's supposed to be, even if my lovely human brain can't make sense. I need to be in trust and trust that it's going to work out just fine within my author brand and my author portfolio. And I have to tell you today, a couple hours before I sat down to record this podcast, I posted the book for pre-sale on Amazon, and I have to tell you how scary that was. I don't know how I can talk about this story without talking about the terror that I feel in my body. But I was so scared that I started sobbing. I was sitting at the computer and I was just sobbing, and I heard so clearly, like, you need to do this, you need to do this. You need to own it. You got to own it. This book's coming. I mean, I think I'm going to write it in 4 to 6 weeks. I don't think it's going to take me very long. So I did post it for pre-sale in Amazon. So if you want to show me some love, I would be so grateful if you would pre-order the book. There's no cover. There's no description. Everything I know about the book, now you know about it if you've listened to this podcast. The title is called Forerunner. It's one word. That is one of the names for John the Baptist. He is known as the forerunner of Jesus Christ. So that, since this is his story, that's book 1. And you can probably also search for it by the series title, Jesus Christ Zombie Killer. I'll try to remember to link it in the show notes. But I would be so grateful and feel so much love and gratitude if you pre-ordered the book. It's $4.99. I put the release date on Christmas because I just felt like, okay, here's your day. Here's your day, Jesus. I'm pretty sure it's going to be out this summer, but I like to give myself a little bit of buffer because you never know what's going to happen in the universe. So I need to give myself a little buffer because Amazon slaps your wrist pretty hard if you miss your release date. So I thought, okay, I'm going to pre-release it, post it on Jesus's big day on Christmas. So yeah, it is up for Amazon, and the cover is another thing that I'm in surrender to because my normal cover designer is like booked. They're booked for months and months. And so I'm like, okay, Jesus, I'm writing your book. You better throw down awesome cover designer. Or maybe somebody will, an opening will miraculously appear with my preferred designer, and I'll get in on a whim. So yeah, so anyway, that's just where I am. And so this episode is so much about trust and surrender when you work with the universe, when you channel your stories, when you honor energies that are stepping forward to co-create with you. And guys, it's not always easy. It's really not. As you can see, I think you can see how hard it's been for me to surrender to this story. Camille over here with her 3-year plan, and Jesus having a 3-month plan for her. Yeah. And so, sometimes it is easy and it's fun and it's exciting, but sometimes you also get pushed. You get pushed and you get asked to be brave. And yeah, you get asked to walk through walls and pass boundaries of safety and comfort. And I trust that this is all for part of my growth, for part of my personal growth, for ancestral healing. I trust that the story wants to be in the world for a reason. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it does. So I trust that it wants to be out there, and it wants to be out there ASAP, right now. It wouldn't be moving through me with such force. It wouldn't be tilting my axis like the Three Gorges Dam in China. But it is. It's doing all those things. It's doing all those things. And this is part of being an intuitive writer. This is part of co-creating. This is part of dancing with the universe. Okay, I just had to pause the recording to gather myself. Speaking of fear, I have massive fear around releasing this episode and recording this episode, but the message came through very strongly that I need to be sharing this. So here I am, sharing, recording, and I'll post it next week. Next week's Easter. My friend pointed that out to me. She's like, it's really interesting that you're bringing in and working with this Christ energy so close to Easter. I'm like, oh yeah, Easter, who knew? Camille's so disconnected with Christ energy that Easter's not even on her radar beyond like buying chocolate. So I have purchased chocolate and I have purchased eggs, and I have thought about it. No more than that. So I don't know, maybe I'll release this on Easter Day. I don't know, maybe. I'll freak out about it for a couple days, and I guess I'll figure it out. Anyway, I don't think I have anything else to share on this topic. Thank you for being here. Thank you for witnessing me. I'm on Instagram at Write with Intuition, so I'd love to hear from you. If you hate me, please don't send me a message. I'm too fragile right now. I can't deal with it. But if you love me, I would love to hear from you. If you want to send me virtual hugs, I would really love that. So you can do that. Yeah, and again, I will post the link to my pre-order in the show notes, and I would be very grateful if you would support me and show me some love by pre-ordering my book. Until then, I wish you all Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Happy journey, whatever journey that you are on with your art and your creativity. I wish you joy. I wish you expansion. And maybe I wish you a little bit of fear too. Because we're all here to grow. We're all here to grow, and our art is here to help us do that. So that's what I wish you. Growth. I will see you all next time. Bye.